y'all, so I am back to actually finish my story. It's been a minute since I've finished my story as to why I even started this channel, but I hope you have enjoyed the videos thus far, and I hope that you truly enjoyed the conversation that I had with Imani. It was refreshing to hear her side of things and get her point of view, and a lot of you have commented, and I appreciate it. Thank you for supporting me through this journey of self-reflection and, getting my life back on track. So when I left off on the story, I talked about Imani and I moving in with my mother. So it was a humbling decision. Not a humbling decision, that's not what I want to say. It made me humble to have to do that, because I'm literally going back into the house that I grew up in. My mother still lives in the house that I grew up in since I was 3, I think is when we moved into the house. My brother wasn't even born yet, so this is literally our childhood home. And so now I'm moving back into the bedroom where I slept. Imani was moving into the bedroom where my brother slept. And yeah, it was embarrassing. So it was an array of emotions. It was embarrassing. So I'm literally feeling like a child moving back in with my mother again. So anyway, but I'm grateful that she let us come in. And for those of you who know my mother, she'll always let you move in, but she needs to know when you plan to move out. Unfortunately, we've had a lot of family members that have fallen upon hard times, but my mother's always been gracious enough to let them move into her house. And again, once you get there, she'll let you get settled and all. Then it's like, what is your plan to get out? She won't say it just like that, but in the back of her mind, what's your plan to get out? So when she first sat me down and asked me about it, I'm like, it should only be about a year. At that time, I didn't really know how to plan. I didn't know how to look into the future and different stuff like that. I'm not really one to budget and stuff like that. I had never written anything down, but I don't know, I'm thinking maybe a year. And I just threw it out there because I didn't have any plan. Needless to say, that 1 year turned into 3. And when I first, it was 3 years. That's Imani chiming in the background. It was 3 years. We moved in there in 2013, and we left in 2016. So it's 3 years. And so she asked, so I said, oh, it can only be a year. So when I moved into her house, I was still doing my in-home childcare. So I ran that childcare out of her basement, and not everyone came with me. So I only had 2 families actually that made that transition with me to my mother's house and into her basement. And once I got up and running with that, I was like, I need to start looking for another job, because this is just not going to work. It was putting extra expenses in my mother's house. So that meant the electricity was going up because I was there all day. The water would be in there with the kids. Just everything. So it was just too much in her house. Imani was in middle school, high school. She made the transition. We went from middle school to high school while we were there. And then, I just realized it was time for me to find another job. So trying to find another job was hard. And I wasn't making a lot of money with the few kids that I was watching in the basement. But then I did end up finding a job at a childcare center. It was actually in a preschool. So I made that trek, and it was about a 45-minute ride every day to this particular place, but it was the only place that called. So when you're looking for a job and you need the money and only one place calls, you take it. And I wasn't making much. I was not making much more than what I had been making when I was doing the child care in the basement. But again, I had to find another job, and you take one until something else comes along. So as a result of me not making all of this money, I wasn't able to pay my mother the true amount that she wanted while I was there. She came up with a dollar amount. I said, okay, what was I supposed to say? No, I don't want to pay it. And yeah, I just wasn't able to do it. So that caused a lot of tension between my mother and I. And I would say towards the end of that 3 years is when she came to me and she was like, I can't carry you no more. It's being difficult on me, and I think it's time for you to find someplace else for you and your child to live. So in the midst of all of that as well, my car, we had a problem with my car. It was something in the engine. I don't remember exactly what it was. So I took it to the mechanic that I was using at the time, and he was like, yeah, no, this isn't going to run. This is how much it's going to cost you to get it fixed. So because of that, no, that didn't happen then. We were here already, weren't we? Anyway, I don't know what the timeline is anymore. I'm completely fine. But I've been without my car now for a few years now, because it was just something I couldn't afford to fix, and I couldn't afford to have a car note at that time too. So, but anyway, going back to the apartment, with my mother, living with my mother, she was like, yeah, I think it's time for you to find someplace else for you and your child to live. And you have until the end of whatever it is. So it was like a few months that she was giving me to pretty much look for other stuff. So here I was again, another grown adult being kicked out of my mother's house. But again, rightfully so. I couldn't afford to pay her what she was asking. So I looked for someplace else. And because of everything that I had gone through, my credit wasn't all that great. And it was like, I can't really go to any management company, so how the heck am I going to find somewhere to live? And I was like, Lord, my child and I are going to have to go to a shelter, or we have to go to a boarding house or something, because I wasn't going to move in with anybody else. That was just not going to happen. So I looked up on this apartment that we are currently in right now. And I'm just grateful that we are here. The neighborhood that we're in, at first it was like, it seemed kind of far from what, I don't know. But one of the good things is that with Imani now being in high school at that time that we were moving, she was able to literally walk down the street to the train. So if you watched her other videos where we were conversating about what she went through all of this, one thing she complained about was her commute to school from my mother's house. But her commute from here in our apartment now was easy. It was literally walking down the street, 1, 2, 4 blocks, jumping on a train, and then going downtown. So that was easier for her. The only bad thing about being over here that we kind of didn't like is that it's really not near anything. So like there's nothing really over here. Like there's no mall or no really good fast food restaurants. We were away from family really, because all the family's over there by my mom. So it was just a weird, but I really, really like the location, the apartment. Like it has hardwood floors, it's bright sunlight, like so there's pros and cons to everything. But again, so we ended up here, very thankful, very grateful, and moving out of my mother's house. I mean, it was time for us to go. I was raising a child. I didn't need to be living underneath my mother. I didn't need to be living with my mother, having her rules. Again, with us being 2 grown adults, cleaning styles are different, cooking styles are different, different stuff like that. Okay, but while I was there, again, when I first moved in and trying to make money and things like that, my mother suggested to me that I should apply for food stamps. And only because I initially was like, I'm not applying for no food stamps. I am not that bad. But you have in your mind when you're growing up, and when you think you know, your nose is up in the air and you think you got it better than some people, that applying for food stamps is degrading. That's how you feel. Or that's how I used to feel. But it was something that I had to do. I had to feed my child. And although I was living in my mother's house, it wasn't her responsibility to feed me or my child. So I went ahead and applied for those food stamps, and that was one of the hardest things that I had to do, was go down to that welfare office and apply for those food stamps. But once that extra money started coming, I'll take the food stamps. And you know, that was a saving grace. And it took me some time to understand like what day they fell on, because I thought the first of the month everybody got food stamps. So the first of the month came around that first time and it wasn't there, and I was heartbroken. Like, oh my God, what am I going to do now? Because again, you try to portion out your meals and stuff like that. And we came around to the first of the month and it was like, oh my God, we have this much left in the refrigerator, and nothing came. Well, my food stamps didn't come in until the 10th of every month. So I had to wait like a whole whatever. It was a mess. But that was an experience, being a food stamp recipient. But I appreciated it, and I was able to use it up until she went off to college. And once she went off to college, that changes your monetary whatever. So I wasn't able to get it anymore. So that was that. So the experience at my mother's house, I was greatly appreciative of her letting us have a place to lay our head. It was grateful to be there like during the winter, because I was actually able to get out there and shovel for her. She didn't go out there and try to do stuff on her own. So there were pluses, pros and cons to being there. But I'm glad she did what she did, because, you know, that's that tough love thing. And I had to get out and make it on my own. I had to put the big girl panties on and act like the adult that I was and the mother that I was, and show my child that you can bounce back. Your goal is not to live underneath your mother's roof for the rest of your life or in your adult years. That's not the plan. That's not what I want for you. So let me show you what's supposed to happen. So here we are. It'll be 5 years. No? 4 years in October that we have been here, and we are grateful. So I went without my car, as she spoke of earlier. I had to get rid of the car and jump on public transportation, which I had been on for the last 3 maybe. Because when we got here, I had my car. So I've been parking on the side of the house.
It's still 3 years.
Yeah, so it's been probably about 3 years that I haven't had the car. Yeah, when we first moved here. And I'm over it now. So I'm ready. But then she was applying for colleges and stuff. So I didn't know what the tuition was going to be like, or what kind of expenses I would have out of my pocket with that. So I was like, I can't buy a car. So it was either buy a car or my child to college. And that's what happened. But I will tell you right now that I'm over it and I'm ready to buy a car. So prayerfully 2021 will help me see a car, because I'm over it. I'm over it, I'm over it, I'm over it. And especially now with the pandemic, public transportation stopped running for quite a while because of the pandemic. And even now that it's back up and running, and now that I'm somewhat back on it, it's nerve-wracking, because again, with the wearing the masks and trying not to touch stuff, and you know, just being in a close proximity to other people, although it is, you know, you can't sit everywhere on the bus because of social distancing. But I'm just over it all. I'm over it. But I'm thankful that I'm dating someone who has a car, and I'm able to borrow my mother's car from time to time if I have to. But I'm over it. So again, put me on your prayer list for 2021 that the gods will allow me to purchase a car in 2021. So that's my goal. I would say that would be it for that piece of it. So I lost my house in the Northeast, had to move with my mother. We got through that, and now here we are in our own space. And the one great thing about this apartment that we love is that my bedroom is way over there, and her bedroom is way over there. So our bedrooms are to the opposite ends of the apartment, which was a good setup. So, anything else you think I'm leaving out? Yeah. So that was that piece. On the road to rebuilding, getting my life together. That's what happened with that. So if you haven't caught up on any of my other videos, please go ahead and let me know in the comments if there is anything else that you'd like for me to share about my story. There's only one other piece that I'm going to talk about as far as this journey from, bouncing back from my divorce. And that will be dating. That's what I'll talk about next. Because I did, try to, find somebody while I was going through all of this. So there were some interesting characters that I met along the way. So there's a few stories. Well, just some things that I can say about that. But let me know if there's anything else that you would like to hear. Anything, you have any questions? Were there any gaps? What happened with this and how did you get through that? So if you have any questions at all, please feel free to share them below. And again, make sure you go back and check out all my other videos just to hear my story. But there's some other good videos in there. I've done a little cooking. I did a mukbang with my daughter. And there's some other little pieces, some other little cute videos in there. So like, comment, share, subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell when you subscribe so you can be notified of any videos that I upload. And I thank you so much for watching. Bye.